Hi, VK. Thank you so much for joining us. We had a fantastic roundtable today. It was an extension of a study that we did together looking at how organizations can progress past pilot purgatory. We know that 60% of companies are kind of stuck in this endless cycle of figuring out what projects to be working on and then struggling with scaling them as well. I'd love to kind of just ask you quickly, what are the challenges you're seeing organizations are facing to move projects along?
So I think one of the key problems I see our customers facing is, are these pilots really aligned to a business outcome that is important to the organization as well as is measurable? Measurable in the sense, does it drive impact which will be valued by business stakeholders? I think that's one of the biggest problems I see our customers do. Once that is established clearly and that is made widely known to the pilot owners, the people who are building the pilots, I think that's a major hurdle crossed. And then obviously once that is crossed, then people massively underestimate what is needed to scale something. We heard people talk about the challenges with data and how do I prepare it.
Yeah.
That becomes a challenge. How do I get my infrastructure to work? That becomes a challenge. So those are the kinds of challenges which we see.
I'm going to hone in on the first bit of what you said as well. So, figuring out projects that drive business impact, that's very key. That came up in our study as well, is that a lot of organizations struggle when you have these shiny, exciting topics, that you want to begin to explore, but then there's no measurable ROI afterwards. They're not aligned towards business needs. I'm also curious, how can you measure the success of projects beyond just efficiency gains or cost savings? What are you seeing some clients are doing?
So I see two distinct groups show up. One, and a little bit of it comes with maturity, right? As people talk about it, as people get more comfortable with what is possible, the maturity improves. The first focus is always efficiency. That is easier to manage, it is easier to monitor, it is easier to measure. The second group, more mature customers, are thinking monetization.
Yeah.
How can I use the assets that I already have? So some companies, especially in Asia, we have a couple of customers who have a massive distribution access. They reach a lot of customers. That is a unique strength, but they are stagnated with respect to what products they could offer them. They are trying to think, how can AI help them offer newer set of products and hence generate new revenue streams? So more mature customers go towards monetization,
Yes.
whereas the initial stuff is all about efficiency, something which is measurable.
Yeah. What advice would you give to organizations that are on this journey? What do they need to change? Maybe even a little bit of a prioritization of what needs to come first and what's kind of the last bit of it.
So, see, we are a technology firm, but I'm not going to start by saying technology. I think the biggest thing is driving the culture change, right? Most organizations, especially as you go higher up in the organization, tends to be risk averse, and you talked about it in in our report. Um, that change of culture, that acceptance of moving fast and trying out new things, but within the framework of what adds business value,
Yes.
is for me the most important. If you get that right,
Hmm.
the other things are important, very, very important, but are things which can be addressed. There are enough people around us. We are good people who can help with those things. But I think the first part of getting the culture change, creating an enablement of talent, I think that is frankly for me the most important thing.
That's a fantastic response. I think overall companies are really focused sometimes on the technology aspect, which is very important still, but those things can be solved a lot faster than the cultural changes. So I'm curious, what culture do you think is necessary for an organization to thrive? What is the leadership that needs to kind of be instilled to kind of drive that culture forward?
So, so first of all, a bias for action. I think that is very important.
Hmm.
And as I said, it's a little hard to do that if it is not driven from the top. If the executive management doesn't espouse a bias for action,
Yeah.
because this space is evolving so fast. Whatever you do will somewhat be successful and somewhat be failure, right? Because the space is changing every hour, every minute, every day. So I think that bias to action in espousing that becomes important. I think then afterwards it is also encouraging teams to try
Mhm.
and and especially support them if they fail,
Yeah.
if they make bad decisions or anything else, encouraging them to continuing with the risk-taking approach, and then supporting them with the agility which is needed for the organization to operate? Because a large organization normally has inertia. So how do you try to overcome inertia for this group, which can run faster and then pull the rest of the organization forward? I think that is what I would say.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.